Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the As Above, So Below show. My name is Meg Moonbeam, and I'm here with ASHALA Yardley. How's it going, ASHALA?
It's going really well, Meg, and I'm just seeing you in your what feels like your darkness retreat and deep into the nighttime where you are, and so
Yes.
grateful that you've taken the initiative to come and do these shows and
Oh,
well,
thank
late at
you.
night where you are. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. And it always uplifts my spirits whenever we get together on Tuesday evenings. I always so enjoy seeing you and spending time with you and everyone that likes to watch the show as well. I've been getting some good comments lately when I've been talking to people one on one that really enjoy this show. So we're very appreciative, you guys, for supporting us and, fostering our like-minded community. It is really, really important. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to be talking about the tarot and astrology of the current times, and there is a lot going on, and also intuitive impressions of what we have to share. And before we get into it, please remember, you guys, to like, share, and subscribe to the Beyond Mystic channels. And if you'd like to have a reading with Ashala or myself, you can go check those out over at consultations.beyondmystic.net. The link is below. And I've been really noticing, Ashala, everyone that I talk to one on one is going through huge life changes. Uh, do you have that too in your readings, or is it a little bit varied person to person?
I would say yes, and seeing more and more of that over the last, even 6 months to a year. It does appear to be a theme for sure.
Hmm. And do you think that this is something that's just specific for our kind of woo community, or do you think this is for everybody on the planet right now?
It's such a good question. Um, we often hear about, and my daughter who works, Crystal, who works,
Mhm.
in the mainstream world, often with her hairdressing practice. She says it's just incredible to see how people just live in a different bubble. Um,
Mhm.
but interestingly, it seems like they go through a lot of the same things. They just don't know what to attribute it to. So it's all personal for
Right.
them, right? It's like, oh, I'm having a personal breakdown. I'm having a financial breakdown. I'm having a relationship breakdown. I'm having a health breakdown, all at the same time. And they're just calling it like, poor me, my bad or whatever, right? And
Right.
we're going, actually, it might be to do with this, and this, and this. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I do think we actually talked about this just the other night, and we were realizing that yeah, everyone is going through it. They're just not everyone recognizes how
Mm.
this is part of where the transformation that we're going through.
Yes, definitely. And Debster in the comments says, two different realities for sure. And I've been noticing that personally, like noticing the realities, at least from my perspective, and let me know what you think, Ashala. They're becoming more and more kind of like going in a different direction. And I was talking to somebody the other day close to me about how I'm finding it even more challenging to spend time around people that, aren't on the same wavelength or vibration, not because I think I'm better than them or because I think they're evil or anything. I'm just noticing there's challenge to that. Let us know in the comments if you guys are experiencing that as well. Is that something, Michelle, that you're experiencing too, or is your Gemini self able to handle, interacting with anybody?
It's interesting because I've been doing this for a really long time. And like I've been a truther for
Right.
30 years. So I'm
Yeah.
really used to filling in the gap.
Right.
What I want to say that I think might be surprising to our audience is that I actually am starting to see evidence, and it's been a long time suspicion of mine just because of understanding the way metaphysics works, like the toroidal
Mhm.
energy, that as we get it's almost like I see all this polarization, all this separation, and even the different, we were talking earlier about the different algorithms and how
Yeah.
we're being like literally having totally different realities based on what we're looking at on the internet and what we're searching for and what we're open to seeing.
Mm,
And but at some point, it feels like there's like between 11:58 and 12:01, it's so different that it
right.
crosses over. And
Wow.
that is a metaphysical truth. At some point,
Mm,
you get so polarized that you swing around. It's sort of like, you
like the
swing goes
yeah,
around,
the
right?
swing goes around. Yeah. Wow.
And so in that respect, if we see what's going on the planet right now that is so just raucous, right? It's like, wow, so much extreme, so many extremes. And it's like, this has to have the effect of literally blowing the lid off, right? It
Yeah.
has to.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Wow. And before we continue, you guys, I want to say this before I forget that over at Ascension Organites, Carla has these new EMF protection hats with the Beyond Mystic logo available. You guys can go check that out at ascensionorganites.com. And there is a limited quantity available. You can use the code Beyond Mystic, all in one word, to get 10% off. And so cool, there's EMF protection hats. That's awesome.
Gosh, I was talking about blowing the lid off, and it's like,
Yep.
let's put the lid on and have it
Let's put the
sing.
lid on.
Let's protect our dear brains. That's so
Oh my god,
incredible.
that is so funny. We got some comments here. Thank you guys for your comments. Lindsay says, "Yes, I am finding it very challenging to be around people who have no idea what's happening and living in a total 3D." Early Morn says, "My challenge, besides keeping my vibration up, is figuring out what's actually real and what isn't." Very
Mhm.
interesting early morning. You must be telepathically maybe connecting with me because that was one of the things I wanted to bring up with you, Ashala, as we go into this week on June 18th, and I'll bring up the chart here. We've got exact Jupiter square Neptune happening this week, exact on Wednesday. And Jupiter and Neptune are the two ruling planets of Pisces, which has to do with that recent comment, confusion, not knowing what's real and, what's real, what's not real, right? Illusions, brainwashing. So it's interesting with the world events, and I am not a political expert by any means, you guys. I'm an astrologer and a woo-woo person. But I feel like a lot of what we're seeing play out this week, it's not what it's being shown to be with this Jupiter square Neptune. Would you say that that resonates for you, Ashala? Or how are you feeling with some of the quite intense things that are coming up this week geopolitically?
Mhm. Well, just before we came on the live, Meg, you and I were both reflecting how we are seeing this phenomena of, even though we see what's
Mhm.
going on, the astrology and the tarot appear to suggest that things were actually clearing and up leveling
Yes,
and things are improving.
yes.
And we know our craft well enough to know that's not just hopeful thinking. That,
Mhm.
like some of the numbers that I've had in the forecast the last few weeks with all these aces and just so much inspired, it's not just hopeful, it's transformative energy.
Yes.
And so it's like I feel like we're literally almost being popped through portals right now, and that the veils are quite thin, and
Mm,
that we are in a time of such extraordinary transition, transformation. All of us,
mhm.
including, deep state cabal agenda and so on, they are also having their veil stretched thin, like holding their narrative together, trying to like get all their pieces maneuvering in the way that they thought they could or whatever. Like it's all being really sort of stretched. And that Jupiter Neptune to me, like the
Mm,
whole illusion, the separation of the veils, that's what I'm feeling. I think a lot of
mhm.
what we're seeing in the the positive things that we're feeling with the tarot and astrology is that it's the veils are separating. Now,
Yeah.
through those portals, as we know, being metaphysical practitioners, can come a lot of stuff. It can come a lot of
Mhm.
weird, scary stuff, right? And what I
Mm.
say to people is you direct what comes through that portal with your energy, with your truth. You say,
Right.
like, if you see stuff that's gross coming at you, you just, I want to say, just touch it with love, move it along.
Mm.
You don't go, ah, you know, you just
Right.
like slide it past you with the blessing that it reduces, like it dissipates some of that evil. It just lets that drop.
Mhm.
That's time to just
Mhm.
release that, right? And
Yeah.
then you identify and literally create the positive energies that are coming through these veils. Like you're saying,
Mm.
and the analogy I give it is like when we see a sign or we see something that can be interpreted in different ways, let's interpret it with our positive intention instead of going
Right.
into fear, right? Let's just
Yeah.
say, I see you with love and I'm turning you into my ally and you're going to do my work on
Wow.
the side of light. So it is like you're doing my work. You're coming my way.
Mhm.
We are that powerful.
Yeah.
We
We
are that.
really are. That is so true, and, I see some of the things that are kind of playing out at the moment and, looking at the astrology, like I was just telling Ashala before we went live, unprecedented astrological aspects that we have right now and that are gonna get stronger throughout the summer. The main thing that's really catching my attention, and some of you have maybe already heard me talk about this, but I'll mention it again, is the 3 most outer planets in August and September will each be at 1 degrees and in air and fire signs in exact positive aspects to each other, making this pyramid chart pattern. Like this is Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, the most outer planets in exact positive aspects. And it just gives me chills. And when I look at that, that's a totally supportive, divinely spiritual, and miraculous energy of positive change and developments. So,
Wow.
and that's just one of the things that's going on. I mean, there's so many things. And I think it's so important for us. And I've kind of been going through this personally. We have busy schedules over here at Beyond Mystic, and I was telling Ashala before we went live, like I'm just having one of those days where I'm not really feeling like at my best, Meg mood, and it's because today I didn't do my proper self care that I've started doing lately, and with everything that's going on, it's we're easily I guess the right word is vulnerable just because the energies are so intense that it's almost like in this spiritual war, we need to be taking care of ourselves, right? To handle through the energies. Do you find that too, Ashala?
Oh my gosh, Meg, you are speaking such truth. And it's radical, right? We have this idea that self-care is like, "Ooh, I'm going to be nice to myself and, do
Yeah.
this sweet little pampering thing." It's like, no,
Right.
this is actual radical resistance to be able to stay on point with your
Mhm.
practices. And when you fall off, to not beat yourself up and give up, or say, oh, this
Right.
entity got me and it's hijacked my energy. It's like miles to go, right? Like turn the leaf,
Mhm.
right? All those aces I've been getting in these last few weeks. Turn the leaf, just turn the page. Next,
Yeah.
new day, new start.
Mhm.
And it will, we'll look back on these times and know that is what got us through. It was our
Right.
perseverance, our commitment to that
Yes.
radical aspect of caring for ourselves through this, all of this distortion. Like,
Mm.
and put our EMF hats on.
And put our EMF hats on and our red light glasses. Somebody in the chat is saying, "Why is Meg wearing those ugly red glasses?" There are freaking what are they called? Blue we need these blue light
Blue light
glasses,
glasses. I
guys.
know. Well, I always wear these ones. These are mine, but these aren't the best ones. I want some of yours so we can be orange
Yeah, these are
eyed twins. Because we spend so much time in front of the screens,
Yeah,
folks, and honestly, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Energetically, it just almost like does something to your whole psyche, you know, and we're doing
Mhm.
all this spiritual work with all this light coming in, all the blue light coming in. Yeah, it's a there has to be ways that we care for ourselves around that, and it is radical. It is
Yeah.
radical to stand in that care.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure, and it feels so good. What I'm noticing is and each of us have our own things that resonate with us. What I'm noticing is when I wake up in the morning and I do something that nourishes me right away, instead of taking myself out of my body by, going into, some errand I have to do or going into a screen right away. When I nourish myself, it sets the tone for the whole day, and we can ride the waves of the positive energies that are happening. It's like the more we are in a high vibration, which isn't about spiritual bypassing or poo-pooing when we're genuinely not feeling good, the more we are in a higher vibration, we can get through these times easier than if we're not doing those proper, self-care, whatever that is for us, right?
It's true, and we are spiritual warriors, and if you think about
Mhm.
warriors, what do? They are training all day long.
Exactly.
This is our training. Our training is how do you stay in this frequency, this beautiful, we think also, well, we have to be fighting. We have to be in the like fierce fighting mode. And the best fighting, if you think about the martial artists, they actually say their best skill is to avoid the fight and actually de-escalate it and take the power away from the aggressor.
Mm.
So it's not just get through this, it's actually change the whole thing. Like
Yes.
we want to use our power to, basically turn the tables on this whole narrative. And that isn't just fighting in the old way. That is a fierce inner strength and knowing yourself and being strong and being able to handle all these things that are coming, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely, for sure. April says the birds singing in the morning is quite lovely. And yeah, we notice those kind of things more too when we're present in our body. We don't right away go into something that, takes us out of our body. I hope that makes sense how I'm describing that. We're like one foot in the body and grounded, but then another foot connected to the spiritual realm. We're those warriors in between both at these times,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So, Ashala, should we maybe ask the cards, what does the universe want us to know right now? We're in the portal of the summer solstice. We've got the solstice on June 20th, which I think is Friday. So this is a very magical time of year in the northern hemisphere. It's of course the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. Um, yeah.
Mhm. Solstice.
Mhm.
Always a powerful time, always an
Yes.
incredible thinning of the veils. And this one, according to the astrology and how we're all feeling, wow, extra
Mhm.
special. Okay, so Six of Pentacles. So I'm going to say where we are, where we're going, and how we're going to get there.
Okay.
Uh, where we're going. Oh, my Lord, right? So, this is a lot of that repair in the heart. I'll just lay the last one down and then I'll explain the three of them. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Mm.
So where we are already the Six of Pentacles is a lot to do with feeling like you have maybe not a lot, maybe you're not totally, resourced and feeling absolutely like on top of the world, like, but you feel like you have enough to sustain. And a lot of what you were just saying about, caring for ourselves, right? This is a lot of giving and receiving. It's the card of reciprocity. So we're coming from a
Mhm.
really good place where we don't have so much that we are like kind of separate from reality. Like we still have to engage with the world, but we are feeling strong and secure enough. And where we're going is that repair with the polarization. So the woman and the man in the Two of Cups represent, well, among other things, the masculine and the feminine. but also two sides of something that are reconnecting
Mm,
in a meaningful way through the heart, because the cups are the emotions, and it's an alchemical card, a healing card. So there's a healing of polarity of two sides. We are going, and this was what I was saying earlier, I've been getting this in the cards lately, that we are actually, through all this polarization, we're going to start coming back around and meeting in the middle with a
mm,
new, it's like a whole new gear. And I think that
right.
might be some of what you're seeing in the astrology. How are we going to get there? This is, well, among other things, she is very metaphysical. She's very spiritual. She's the queen of
Mm,
spirituality and creativity.
wow.
And she's, just full of energy. She's very energized, very courageous, and quite, kind of witchy, right? She's got her black cat with her. She's a warrioress that gets where she's going through, this is how we get there, right? Just
Mhm.
through her sheer like passion and desire.
Wow.
So, and this is interesting because you see the lions up there above her head. She's often associated with the sign of Leo.
Mhm.
So, coming into this summer, feeling
Mm,
a lot of courage and kind of enthusiasm building, creative energy building, chi life force energy building. So,
mhm.
we've come far enough that we are going to be able to stabilize at this point, reconnect, even in a lot of, relationships that have been separated. We're going to have this reconnection and healing around separation and polarization. And then it's done with this incredible passion and courage and spirituality.
Wow. That is beautiful. I love that. I just love the 2 of Cups card and how it looks and the balance of it. It's so beautiful, and even just its artistry.
It is. It really,
Yeah.
really is. And there's the lion again. So another reference to the sign of Leo and
Yeah.
potentially the month of August this year, which is literally a
Wow.
couple of months away, right?
Right.
It's like Two of Cups, like often you look at the numbers in the minor arcana, they often suggest time periods.
Mhm.
So it could be 2 weeks, but with all this Leo energy, the lion energy, I feel like it's referring to the
2
next
months.
couple of months. Yeah.
Wow. So interesting. Wow. And just as you were speaking there, Ashala, I had a pop-up come up that there's been a large X 1.2 class solar flare erupt from the sun. So we've been having solar flares, and it looks like this is an even bigger one that just erupted just a few hours ago. So not just the astrology, we're also going through these solar flares as well, activating us. Do you personally notice the solar flares? Do you feel them? How do you experience them?
In times past, when there wasn't so much stacked up together, I could distinguish, yeah, solar flare energy. Right now, honestly, I don't even know which is what. It's like
Right.
it feels like continual waves of like big stuff, and I don't know for
Mhm.
sure, is it astrological? Is it solar flare activity?
Mhm.
Is it out in the cosmos? Is it like something in me personally? Like it's really,
Yeah.
I'm just riding all of it now. But it's not surprising because, as we've said before, a lot of these, when you put a lot of these factors together, really they're indicating that we are stepping into such a magical time, such a potent.
Mm.
And instead of being afraid, like we've got a lot of the narrative, which is, oh, it's doomsday and everything's collapsing and we're going to be,
Right.
um, I get the feeling of like magic is returning
Mm.
to the planet. When the veil's thin, as I said before, um, we can also invite a whole variety of different incredible allies, everything from ancestors and elemental spirits and
Yeah.
nature spirits that are really beneficial. And, we can just weed through and say no thank you to the other ones.
Right.
But how is it going to feel? And we were talking about this on my YouTube channel earlier, the phenomena that is starting to appear where people are seeing more and more extraordinary creatures with their, like, actual seeing them with their eyes,
Wow.
and seeing more and more supernatural phenomena. And that is a sign to me that we are going through one of these transition phases where
Mhm.
epochs shift, and when they do, it it's it's kind of like a window opening, and we get to see a lot of the magic realm that we don't normally get to see. So it happens
Wow.
normally on solstices and equinoxes.
Mhm.
It happens normally on, different moon phases and with solar flares and with certain
Mhm.
astrological configurations. But now it's all happening right at once.
It's
So
all happening.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, potent time.
It is for sure. And so our exact summer solstice, you guys, is going to be on June 20th at 10:42 p.m. Eastern time. So you can fix that to whatever time zone you're on. And the summer solstice is always in Western astrology when the sun enters 0 degrees of Cancer and we enter Cancer season, which is all about home, family, self-care, our emotions, nurturing. In the summer, we have Cancer, we have Leo, and we have Virgo season as well. And it's really good at the beginning of the summer, around the summer solstice in Cancer season to spend time connecting to our loved ones, the ones that we hold most dear, the ones that we feel safest with, Cancer, and nourishing those relationships, also nourishing ourselves. It's a great time as well to be connecting to our ancestors. Did you just say that, Ashal? Did you just mention the ancestors?
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So that we can be having, ancestors coming through in our dreams. We can be feeling them around us more. Typically we would associate that with Scorpio season, which is, also ancestors. But Cancer actually is as well. And I find it to be a beautiful energy, beautiful time of year. And this is a very special Cancer season because not only is the sun in Cancer, but we now have Jupiter in Cancer as of June 9th and is going to be there for a whole year. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, and Jupiter rules divine protection and spiritual growth. So there's a lot showing in the astrology that, okay, even though there's a lot of the darkness coming to light as we enter this higher, epoch, as you're using that word, Ashala, the darkness has to come to light so that we can move forward. And it does seem chaotic on the surface, but actually on the subtle levels astrologically, there's a lot of positive, very positive support and divine protection. And this is even lucky, this Cancer season with Jupiter in Cancer. So this is a good time to really be aware of where you're focusing your energy, where you're directing and asserting yourself, because we can be like extra potent manifestors. It makes me think of the magician card, right? With that Jupiter in Cancer and the sun in Cancer. Are there any particular kind of things that you like to do at the summer solstice, Ashala? Any practices or anything?
Yeah, gosh, that just takes me through years and years of celebration. And
Mm,
you know what? I love what you said about loved ones
yeah,
and gathering with friends and family, being outdoors, because here, well, in Canada especially, right? It's like
yeah.
half the year, it's not super fun to be out in nature together,
Mhm.
for really long periods of time. You might get out for an afternoon or something, but you're not going to be out there for hours and hours or camping out or whatever. And
Yeah.
so to me, it's just such a lovely time to share with people in nature, people that you love. And of course,
Mhm.
it's where we also get to really connect with the elements. So fire, right? Having a fire, having an outdoor fire.
Yeah.
I love, any time of year really having an outdoor fire, but especially if I can't get it any other time, I really want to have it on the summer solstice.
Yeah, I love that. I love the energy around the summer solstice of the amount of light that we have available to us. Ever since I've been in Belgium the past few years, Belgium is higher than where I was living in Ontario, Canada. And here at the solstice, it's almost light until midnight here. There's still light around that time at the solstice. So it's very nourishing for us to be connecting to the sun and the light. And for me personally, I also like to do things that are fun. The sun is about fun and creativity and our inner child as well. So I try not to over my burden myself during the summer solstice and just go with the flow of the positive, fun, nourishing energies that we're getting from the sun and the portal, like you said, that we're in. The veils are thin around the solstices and the equinoxes, where we could literally, if we go out into nature, see a fairy or see a squatch, like literally see something, have a very visceral, magical experience.
Totally,
Yeah,
totally.
which is
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah. And also after the summer solstice next week on Wednesday, we've got this new moon in Cancer. Oh, let me bring up the chart here. I thought I was sharing the chart, which is going to be the most positive and lucky new moon of the whole year. So it's a moon at home in the sign of Cancer at a Cancer degree and conjunct Jupiter exalted in Cancer. I mean, it
So
doesn't get
tell us what all that means, Meg.
what
Tell
all
us what
that
this
means.
all is.
Well, yeah, that's the most magical energy for setting intentions, planting seeds, new beginnings of whatever your personal intentions are. Cancer specifically is about our home and our family and our foundation and our emotions, as well as ancestors as well. So, setting intentions around those areas is very potent at this time. Cleaning out your home, maybe doing a little bit of feng shui, a little bit of cleansing, bringing some new positive energy into the home, having loved ones in your home. This is really, really positive and lucky. So if you're into astrology, see wherever you have 4 degrees of Cancer in your chart, because that's an area of life where there's a very positive new beginning taking place.
Amazing. I literally am working on the Feng Shui course that I'm launching on
Yay!
I wish we were launching it for the
Oh, yeah.
year. That would have been so great, but it's coming.
Yeah.
It'll be by, early to mid-August. We can't put it out in July because we're going on holidays during that time, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's coming, and this is exactly all of what this course is about, is supporting us in creating an outer environment that really draws out and helps us resonate with the best version of ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait for your feng shui course, Ashala. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's
Yay.
I'm literally working on it right now, and I'm like, oh, I just love this. And it's reminding me each time I develop one of these courses, I go back through my learning and my practice, and
Mhm.
I just, remind myself of how potent these skills are and how valuable they are. And yeah, I always do feng shui when I come into a home, but there's definitely always things that I can go back and tweak, and I'm looking at things with a fresh eye now.
Oh my God, I love that. I was last Christmas break, which doesn't even feel like that long ago, but it was like 6 months ago. I was starting to feng shui our home here in Belgium, and you could feel the energy shift right
Yeah,
away when
yeah.
you bring certain colors in the what are they called, bagwas or
But yeah, yeah.
bagwas, and you do like I felt a huge energy shift even with putting a mirror in the front of the house, because
Mhm.
that's very much about feeling empowered, that area near the front door, just making those shifts. And then, yeah, I love feng shui. So I'm so excited. That's going to be amazing. CeeLo
Mhm.
just says, good. I need help in my front entrance area, Ashala. Yes.
Yeah, and I go over it like it's a first level course, so I'm not going super in depth into every single aspect and every single
Hmm.
corner of every area, but I am giving you the basic tools, how to, lay the bagua down over your floor plan, and how
Hmm.
you, some really easy ways to use the formula and make some shifts, where to start in your home, how to kind of progress through, and how to work with some common problems that a lot of people have in their homes,
Mhm.
including clutter. Yeah. So,
Digi Bean says, "Plus vampires avoid mirrors."
mm,
Interesting, but aren't there areas, Ashala, that mirrors aren't good? Am I correct in that?
yeah, there
Yeah,
are mirrors are mirrors are interesting. They are
yeah.
very they're a powerful tool, and I do, for example, you don't want mirrors in your sleeping area. You can
Mm,
have them there, but you want to cover them while you're sleeping. And
right.
yeah, like they are really powerful to cure and utilize in certain places in the home with Feng Shui, but they are also, yeah, they can create some challenging aspects as well. So
Mhm.
I'll
They're
explain all that in the course.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah,
talk about all that,
I'll
sounds
talk
good. Yeah,
about all
they can be like portals. CeeLo
that.
Joe says, "Sounds spooky."
Mhm.
Yes. Shall we go through each of the sign groups for maybe not just the summer solstice, but also the summer season we're stepping into? What guidance for
That sounds
is there for each of
fantastic.
us?
Well, because we've been talking about the fortune and how lucky and special and potent this summer is. And I just
Mhm,
want to remind everybody, I know this could sound in a way like, oh yeah, you guys are just trying to make us feel good, but we've been doing this for a long time, and we can tell you assuredly that that
mhm,
these things, like what you're saying about these aspects as you're describing them, Meg, and what I'm saying about the selection of cards that are coming
yeah,
down. And when I look back, I always keep saying about 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, oh my gosh, I don't know about the astrology, but my cards were just like, it was like a whole wheel full of really challenging stuff week
wow,
after week after week.
yeah,
And we were in it. We were all in it together, and we were like, okay, it's gonna be it's gonna be tough, and it's gonna be this and that. And
mhm,
now I'm kind of going like, okay, what? Like, we look out there and it looks really, like you said, it looks really
yeah,
almost worse in some ways, and yet the cards look amazing.
yep, yep,
Hmm.
for sure.
So we're starting with fire signs, is that
Yes.
right?
Yes. Starting with our Aries, Leos, and Saggies.
Okay. There we go. And I'm going to do 3. And let's just look at, actually, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do where you are, where you're going, how you're getting
Ooh.
there.
Oh, that's fun.
Where you
Wow.
are. So you are riding the waves of change, fire signs. You are, in a very fiery way. You're going from kind of highs to lows to highs to lows, a lot of shifting, a lot of spontaneity. Wheel of Fortune is kind of chaotic. It means
Mhm,
things are spinning and you're not sure where you're going to land, and a lot is going unpredictable, right?
mhm.
Where you're going, fire signs, this summer, you're going into stability, into
Wow.
stabilizing your energy. So you're going into finding a stable, I want to say, like an anchor in all that chaos. And it's interesting because when I look at the Wheel of Fortune, and people often say, oh my gosh, it means everything's going to keep changing and it's all up in the air. But if you look at the center point of that wheel, it's very still, right? When you see a wheel turning, it's very, very still at the middle. So
Mm,
all the motion is happening on the outer edge. So it reminds us fire signs, it reminds you fire signs to get centered this summer. And it won't feel like you're spinning around. It'll feel, and I'm just reminded of those old kind of merry-go-round playground equipment things that kids play on or used to
mhm.
play on. And, if you didn't want to get really dizzy, you had to be right close to the middle. So
Wow.
get centered, get grounded. How you're going to get there? You're gonna get there by, like, taking the leap of faith, right? I mean, because of the way these other 2 cards are, to me, this is about, yeah, you gotta let go of the reins, fire signs, and just go for it. Like, you're all known to be very spontaneous anyway, and just kinda hands off the
Mhm.
wheel of fortune. It could turn out a lot more fortunate than you think.
Yeah.
So, take a leap of faith, hands off the wheel, get centered,
Yay. Oh
stay
my
grounded.
gosh. Okay, fire signs, that's not gonna be boring for you guys
No,
at all.
no, 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 not boring.
Thank you, Ashala. Now we're gonna go to
Mhm.
our earth signs for the summer, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. I like that layout that you're doing.
It is kinda nice. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with a 3-card spread, and I do like this version where you say where you are, where you're going, and how you're gonna get there.
Mm.
So, this is our earth signs, where you are, where you are. Ah. Well, earth signs have really been feeling this energy, this catalytic energy of like a surge. They've had a surge lately. Where you're going, oh,
Wow.
interesting. Um, so earth signs, you're going now, it even also has that feeling to me of getting centered. So, even though it's very activated, there's a centered, especially around your unification in your emotions and feeling very trusting, very like emotionally, what's the word I'm looking for? Like open and trusting in relationship, opening your heart. Um,
Mhm.
Especially when you're very centered in yourself and you trust yourself, then you can trust your discernment, who to open your heart to, when and where to open your heart. So this
Right.
is a very heart opening time for our earth signs. And how you're going to get there is, interestingly, another 10. So we had the 10 on the fire signs. We had that wheel of fortune, which is the number 10, and this is another number 10, which is another one of these, like, just open your heart and allow the light in. It's the over the rainbow card.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yay, that sounds beautiful for our earth signs. And
Mhm.
next we'll go to air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius for the summer. Mhm.
Air signs. There we are. Where we are.
Amen.
Where we are. Where we're going. Oh, and how we're going to get there. Okay, so this for air signs, we've actually, I don't know why this is, but it looks like we've actually, we have kind of stabilized miraculously. Whatever we've been going through, a lot of us air signs have really sort of hunkered in, which is a bit unusual for us. And it might be this Gemini season, because as an air sign, I have just been like, okay, wow, I got to get grounded and I got to get organized and I got to get like really solid in myself. Even for
Mm,
me, I would say out of every Gemini season I've been through, this one has been the one that's just made me go, okay, I'm not so sure if I like being a Gemini this Gemini season. It's
oh
just
my
a
god.
little bit too much wild information and stuff flying in every direction. So
Yeah.
the air signs could be feeling this kind of like needing to ground and stabilize and lock in. Where we're going is, now this is curious, because on the one hand, we've just seen through the veil, is what I'm being shown. Like, we've just seen a whole lot. A lot of the
Mm,
air signs have really picked up the energy, the psychic energy of what's going on between the realms. but it's also another overwhelming. So these are both kind of like hunkering in and being overwhelmed
Mhm.
by the psychic energy, too much information, feeling scattered. So, how we're going to get through this, and it might last until at least the end of July for a lot of us air signs. You see, it's in a cloud, all of that. So it's almost like air and water making the steam, like a lot of confusion and illusion.
Mm.
Um, so for us, all that Piscean energy that you were describing, it might be a little bit
Right.
confusing. So
Mhm.
discernment and making powerful choices. And it's interesting because the cloud is there too. Do you see that cloud between the lovers?
Right.
They've got that cloud between them, and yet they're seeing through that illusion and making some clear choices. So it's going to be about discernment and choices for the air signs
Wow.
this summer, basically.
Amazing. There you go, air signs. And last but not least, we've got our water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Very good for the water signs that Jupiter is in Cancer. It's making
Mm,
trines to the water signs.
wow. Okay, we're going with that one. Where you are,
Ooh.
strong. So unlike the air signs that are like kind of battening down the hatches and feeling a little bit like in the storm of it all, um, you water signs are like hitting your stride. He's very grounded, very practical, and very, I want to say, like you were talking about the luck. He can be the most financially lucky of all the cards.
Mhm.
So really, you might have great, let's just say, utilizing all that trine energy, all that lucky energy. You might have great instincts and intuition about money and
Wow.
finance. So make some financial decisions. Take the reins. Where you're going. Where you're going is, well, this is one of the sweetest cards in the deck. It's like the most innocent. Now it can be very naive. This, you can see this as being naive, but with these two together, what
Mm,
a beautiful sort of lucky, fortunate, um, making really good choices around material reality, being very practical minded, and then also feeling really blessed. This little Page of Cups feels so, um, yeah, just open hearted and generous.
ooh.
And how you're getting, so isn't that interesting? It's like you're going, where you're going is into innocence, and how you're getting there is being really like your own watchdog, your own king, emperor. These are the two strongest male energies in the tarot. The
Mm,
King of Pentacles and the Emperor. They are like the strongest masculine forces. So, um,
wow.
being very purposeful, being very protective, being, really being solid in yourself. And I think there's a bit of being really looking out for number one as well for the water signs.
Amazing. Yay.
Mhm.
Awesome. It's looking pretty good for everybody.
It is.
It is, and it feels like that with the transits, so I'm so excited to see, how this solstice is gonna unfold for us and the whole rest of the summer season. Thank you, Ashala, for those readings, and Digivine here says, "Be the light in your tunnel." I love that. That's
Mhm.
beautiful. And yeah, we're getting close to the hour mark here of the show. It always goes by so, so fast. And before we finish up, we just want to give a little reminder, you guys, that we will be on a July break from July 1st to July 15th. The Beyond Mystic team will be on a break, so there will be none of the regularly scheduled programming. Do you have any plans, Ashala, for our break time that we're going to be having?
I was gonna go away, and I decided against that. I think I'm having sort of a extended staycation.
Nice.
And, I am still gonna be doing sessions during that time. I've kind of tempered my schedule down a little bit, so I've got a little bit more spaciousness in it, and I'm gonna be doing around that, working on more course material for the upcoming months, and
Mhm.
yeah, so just more or less keeping busy and, a little bit of puttering and projects. What about you, Meg?
Good. I'm gonna be heading out to Alberta to go check out Alberta as a possible place to live, so I'm extremely looking forward to the break.
I bet. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I've
Well,
never What's
Alberta
that?
doesn't quite look like that image in the picture.
No. No, it does not. Yeah. AW08 says, "Enjoy your break, but we will miss you." Yes, and we will miss you guys as well, and, we're gonna be coming back even more nourished and rested, so that'll be great. And also wanna mention that Jens is gonna be doing an ancestral healing meditation next week on the Academy. I think it's on June 24th at 1 PM Eastern. So, whether you guys wanna tune in live or catch the replay, Jens hosts amazing, live meditations. He is really, truly gifted at it. So you can check that out over at the link below. And interesting, because that's one of the things, and we'll be in Cancer season by then, and Cancer season literally rules ancestors, and I don't think Jens planned it having to do with that, but perfect timing. Amazing.
Oh my
Ashala, do you
gosh,
have any?
look at the number of the price on it, 1717.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That is so cool.
You can't
Oh,
make this stuff up.
no, you can't. That sounds amazing, Meg. I'm so looking forward to that. Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
I guess
So,
the last thing to say is about next
yeah,
we are,
next week.
yeah, I'm not on with you next week, Meg. It looks
That's
like I'm gonna
right.
be on with Janine next week.
Yay. Awesome. So we'll be back, in July. Oh my goodness. Crazy. We'll be
Yeah,
back together in July. It's gonna be a little while.
it's gonna be a little while.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we're wishing you an absolutely magical solstice and beginning of the summer season. And Ashala, you'll see everybody next week, and I'll see everybody on As Above, So Below in mid-July. And we're sending lots and lots of love and gratitude all your way. So thank you, Ashala. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.